Welcome to the Lazy Fluency podcast, where we have casual conversations switching between English and Japanese, so you can learn from and with us along the way. I'm Joey.
And I'm Ayami.
And the topic of the day is the Metaverse. Before we get into that, make sure to like, subscribe, follow, and or drop a review whatever platform you're listening on. We appreciate the support. And with that out of the way, the Metaverse. This is something that there have been multiple updates over probably 2 years now. As many of you may know, Facebook, prior Facebook, that used to be the company's name, changed their name to Meta and changed the name Facebook to just be the product name of that, or the platform, the social media platform. You know that, right?
なんかそれもね、今日まで知らなかったんだよね。恥ずかしながら。
Oh, well, yeah. Oh, I guess nobody used
そうそう。
Facebook. Yeah, exactly.
そう
So, yeah, former Facebook still exists, but it is no longer the larger company name. And that is now Meta. And there have been multiple updates with what Meta is and what Meta is trying to be. In short, for those who don't know anything about it, Meta is kind of like a virtual reality world. And the intention is that anybody who uses it can basically have their own space in this universe and kind of like a house. It's kind of like trying to replicate the real world in a virtual reality world with all like notions of property rights and other stuff in a more simplified manner. And so that's kind of what it's trying to do. And everybody's laughed at the Metaverse for multiple reasons. And so do you know anything about the Metaverse, Ayami? Because there's a reason I'm talking about today. But
何も知らなくて、なんか、ジョイさっき、動画これ見た方がいいって言われて見たら、結構すごいね、なんか、BR みたいなさ、つけて、そこでなんかするっぽいね。映画でよくさ、例えば、なんだろう。近未来的な SF っぽい映画でさ、なんかこうやって空中で描いたりとかさ、そういう場面あるじゃん、映画だと。
Yeah.
そういうことができるようにはなるの、それで。
Well, that's actually, so yeah, the most recent update, or maybe I'll get to that. The quick history before this is that Facebook started developing their own virtual reality headsets, kind of to push along with the Metaverse. And the initial idea that people heard this were like one of two thoughts, or I guess multiple thoughts. One was, this sounds extremely terrifying. This is very like dystopian in the sense that they're trying to get everybody under the control of it, like a giant corporation. Although technically the Metaverse isn't owned by one corporation, or in theory, I think, and anybody can get space in this Metaverse. And the other is that when it actually came out, what stuff looks like, it literally just looks like the Mii's on the Wii channel. Do you know Mii's, like from the Nintendo Wii?
知ってる、顔自分で選ぶやつでしょ。
Yeah. Or more, maybe it's more like Xbox avatars. So when they released, when people imagined what it looked like and then they released those avatars, everybody just did not take the Metaverse seriously at all. Have you seen the avatars? Have you seen the images? If you look at the search I showed you, you'll be able to see what they actually look like. But those are what the actual avatars of what you would look like inside the Metaverse.
なんか、
Or maybe you saw the video.
ミーよりはいいけど、なんかまあアニメって感じはするね。まあアバターっていう感じだね、も
う。Yeah. And so the most recent updates to the Metaverse, and why we're talking about it today, well, there are two real updates. One, they decided, or by they, I mean Mark Zuckerberg and the company in general, is going to be releasing a like $1,500 VR headset upgrade from their current headset that they're offering that allows you to basically use a mixture of, I think it's called AR, which is augmented reality. So like imagine you have your normal workspace with your table and everything, but on top of that, you can like display a keyboard and then write on top of that virtual keyboard, type, and then like define square whiteboards in the sky and then draw on them with your hand, which is what you were talking about. And so so they made that announcement, I think like 4 days ago. And the other announcement they made, which is more hilarious, is that they added legs. Previously, legs didn't exist in the metaverse. And so that's why, if you look at the picture,
legs って何ですか？
like their legs, the avatars didn't have legs.
あ、そうなの？
Yeah, now they do. So that's like a new feature, which is hilarious.
もともと足なかったってこと？どういうこと？
Yep, no legs. Previously, there were no legs in the metaverse.
ね、胴体だけってこと？
It would just like, yeah. And it would just be like blank space underneath.
へえ。なるほどね。まあ、レックスは確かに必要だね。人間っぽく見せるには。
What were your impressions of an actual... So assuming currently this has been a almost colossal failure up until this point, like Facebook has lost billions of dollars trying to do this thing with the metaverse in the hopes that this is like the new thing in the future. Do you think... I get the first question, do you think this is cool? And then also, do you think this will actually catch on?
なんか、まあ、クールはそれは絶対クールじゃん。だって、まあ、近未来だしさ、なんてこんなにかけたらすごいよね。だけど、必要かどうかっていうのはなんか問題な気がする。なんか必要だってさ、実際にミーティング開けばいいし、まあ、例えば、なんだろう、そういうバーチャルのミーティングっていうのは、なんだろう、世界とつながるのには、まあいいかもしれないけど、でも、なんて言うんだろう。実際に同じ場に人が集まれるんだったら別にそれ必要ないんじゃないとは思った。
Yeah. Personally, it's like I have weird feelings about it because people are memeing on the metaverse, but in reality, as we've discussed previously, other than the fact they look like Xbox avatars, the general idea of what the metaverse is trying to do, it seems like we are getting closer and closer to that every day. There's like a Vsauce video like about this way back in the day, talking about how the internet allowed for people to basically have a separate version of themselves and like distance themselves from, or like have their online personality be like a separate entity from themselves. And a lot of people value that entity more than themselves. Like it's very common for people to, I mean, they're like, I don't know, people who spend all their time on the internet, they don't take care of their health, they don't take care of their social relationships, but they spend all their time like chronically online. And in that sense, a lot of people, I mean, even the youth themselves are kind of already in a sense in like a virtual world. Obviously not literally to the extent. So I don't think it's that crazy to think that this could eventually catch on. I think probably the current thing is that it's just not cheap enough technology at the moment and it's not good enough. But the second that this, for example, there was another video that came out, I think like a week ago, about a virtual reality touch. So not just like you can not only just see it, but if you're wearing, I think like, what was it? Something over your arm and your fingers. Yeah. And then, oh no, not a globe, just over your arms, and your like fingers. And if you pick something up in VR, it'll feel like you're picking it up in real life. And so, yeah.
それさ、
yeah.
あ、ごめん。どうぞ。
Oh no, I was saying, I'm pretty sure there are already versions of this that have to do with smell, like smell-o-vision that are being developed. At least I'm pretty sure. I remember hearing about it. Like if you maybe it was a game that came out like a year or two ago or something. I don't know how developed it was or if I'm misremembering, but basically the idea is like, yeah, if something's in your general area, you could actually like smell it. I'm trying to remember if this is something that actually happened or not, or just is being developed, or maybe this is coming out of nowhere. The other two I know are definitely true.
なんか、まあ、嗅覚とか、まあ、触覚、あと、まあ、視覚。まあ、視覚はちょっとまださ、なんて言うんだろう。現実とバーチャルだとちょっとやっぱり違うじゃん。けど、嗅覚とか触覚ってさ、再現できると思うんだよ。割と忠実に。実際の、リアリティに近づくとか。
Yeah. What else would we be missing once you have, if you have sight, okay, what taste?
テイストとか、あと耳聴覚とか。まあ、聴覚はまあ。
No, but yeah, that one's probably the easiest to replicate.
easiest だね。 そうね。で、そこまでね、近づけちゃうとさ、なんか現実と VR のなんか境目っていうのがもうほぼなくなっちゃうから、どうなんだろうね、そのメンタル的にもなんかいろいろな影響を及ぼしそうで怖いんですけど。
Well, yeah,
ね。
that is what I'm not. So I'm like, as I mentioned before, but I majored in computer science. I do
うん。
computer sciencey software engineering things on a daily basis. And I, despite that, am pretty not excited about the future of artificial intelligence and other stuff like this with VR, mainly because I just think all the ramifications that they're leading to are just pretty terrifying, honestly. Whether it
う
be like there are
ん。
a lot of like shows that go around like in a very positive light of, for example, like an anime. There's one show that led to a whole genre being created, and it's called isekai, but it was like Sword Art Online. I'm not sure if you've heard about it, but it literally was about just putting on this headset over your head. And there were older versions of this, but this is like something that led to a big boom in 2012. But
う
yeah, it's basically
ん。
you put on a headset, and then you live in a separate remote like virtual world, and then people basically get trapped in that world, um, and that's kind of like how the story starts. But ever since then, there have been more and more stories. They're basically the whole point is you either are only in the real world for like 2 seconds and then you get transported to another world, or you're doing that, and there's this big extreme fascination with just escaping the real world, and kind of just your body is just kind of laying down in a bed somewhere, or you're getting teleported somewhere, and
うん。
that just seems depressing. I don't know, maybe it's
なんか、
maybe yeah,
う
go ahead.
ん。今思ったのがさ、例えば、今の現状ではさ、そんなにまあ、触覚であったり、なんだっけ、嗅覚とか、まあ、あんまりそういう、それを再現するのがさ、まだ、なんていうの、完全じゃないから、割と視覚と聴覚だけで、やってるじゃん。今の、例えば、オンラインのズームミーティングとか。
Yeah.
そう。それだから、なんか実際に参加してるんだけど、なんだろう。実物の体験ができてないっていう、なんかエンプティーな空の感覚によ
Yeah.
って、その、なんて言うんだろう。うつとか、まあ、ディプレスとかね、そういうのが、起こるんじゃないかなっていうのは考えてるから、もし本当に、なんだろう、全部がリアリティと、まあ、ほぼ同じ体験ができるんだったら、そのエンプティネスが感じられなくなって、逆にもう、うつが減るんじゃないかなっていうのも考えられなくもない。言ってる意味わかる？
Yeah, no, I see what you're saying. For me, it's like, because obviously at the point that you can't distinguish reality from virtual reality,
う
or I
ん。
get in a sense, you really the only thing that would prevent you from knowing that you are, like, for example, that we're not currently in a simulation or whatever, or that you're not in VR, would be the like our memories allowing us to know that we went into VR. So,
そう
and
そう
I
そう。
think for me, just that enough is the reason that, like, that thought in general, I just don't like it. But the thing is, then that does open the gate. Maybe if that does bother people or something somewhere in the future, you can just erase your memory from the point before you get into VR. You set whatever you want, and then boom, you forget that you were ever in VR, and you are just in, like, this is your world now, sort
う
of
ん。
like anime or whatever. And I don't know how I feel about that. I definitely don't think it's a generally positive sentiment that I feel about that.
まあ
But
ね、そうね。だって人間ってさ、そもそもそんなね、架空の世界で生きるようにさ、まあ、プログラムされてないからね。絶対何かしらの問題起きるよ。うん。
yeah, I mean, obviously, there's a
そう
lot
ね。
of good to new and advancing technology.
うん。
And I'm not saying that's not the case. I just don't trust corporations in general, and definitely don't trust that they won't figure out their best way. I mean, they're already kind of making people slaves to their phones. And once you literally have all your senses being influenced directly by a corporation and all their interests, I can only view that as a net negative on not even society, just humanity in general. But yeah, I don't know. But currently, it doesn't seem like we are anywhere near that at the moment. And I do think that, for example, like if I had a helmet, because I actually think it's fun. I've only tried VR once, and that's my thing. I also think it's sick. Like I would love to put on the helmet and then try it more or play. There's like something called Beat Stick or some Beat Saber where it's like kind of a music rhythm game where you have these like lightsabers and you like swing them up and down to hit like the beat. I'm like, that looks cool, and everything about that looks very cool. Or like I went in Tokyo Sky Tower. It's like on the 50th floor. They had a VR head like rocking chair full with a headset onto it where you could go on a roller coaster, and then in a haunted house. The haunted house was cool because it was synced up with the other 4 people to your left, and so you guys were all in the same or maybe not the Sky Tower, but I did do another one where you were all synced up in VR together, and you could see like everybody was at a table with their hands out, and then there was like stuff happening in the center that you could react to. And it was really cool to be like in the same space and in a horror game, and it was super fun. But I don't know. Yeah, maybe it's weird. Like it's weird because at the same time as me not really being excited for the end result of all this, the in between seems kind of fun.
その雰囲気っていうのは完全に、例えばさ、まああるアーティストのコンサートに行きましたと。でさ、そのコンサートの会場でさ、なんか独特の雰囲気みたいなのあるじゃん。なんかいっぱい人がいてさ、なんかね、ああいう雰囲気っていうのはさ、VR で再現できるのかなっていうのは、なんかさっき言ってたようにさ、なんか他の人と一緒の場には入れるけどさ、その雰囲気って再現できるのかな？
I mean, I assume that's where stuff like the power of artificial intelligence comes in. Like artificial intelligence succeeds at things that are incredibly complicated and like determining it. Like when something is hard to understand or create a very specified rule set around it, that's where like just training and artificial intelligence end up being able to do a bunch of crazy things. There was like a whole thing about like the software that's now recreating, like being able to create art, like artificial art, and extremely quickly, which depressed me. So we haven't even talked about it, but I just found that to be the most depressing thing I've seen in like the last 2 months. And so, but yeah, it's like basically you can just type in any prompt and it'll create art, like in multiple different portraits or whatever. And I'm like, God, we did not need this. We did not need this. That we do not need. That is
アーティストのね、クリエイティビティがでもういらないってされちゃうからね、その。
Well, yeah, I mean, as a professional, probably eventually have a big impact. That's why I'm just not excited about most of this. Most of the population I mean, everybody's really going to lose their jobs except for whatever, until the transitionary period, until we have like the equivalent of humans or something that can actually take our management positions, or sorry, our maintenance positions. And so I don't know. But yeah, like I said, in the current reality where it's not a hellscape, AI hellscape, if I had like a white, you know what I'm saying? I have this all the time when I'm working on something, and I just want a big as whiteboard as possible. So like I'm not sure if you have this when you're like trying to like think over a problem, and if I could just like draw a huge square like in my room and then like whiteboard it up and then save it and then like take it down and then pull it up later, that would be sick. Because I know there's a lot of people who like, yeah, go ahead.
実物のホワイトボードじゃダメなの？あるじゃん。
Oh, no. That would be great. I'm just saying that's extremely cumbersome, right? Having like you can have a whiteboard as big as your wall, and then you can just save it and then bring it back. Or you can have multiple. You can put it all across your room and just go whoop.
ね、こっちはこっちの問題やって、こっちでは違う問題ね。確かにね。
Yeah.
まあ、
you could save whiteboards as notes. You know what I'm saying? You could like draw out a whiteboard. Okay, here's this whiteboard, and then you bring another one in, and then you're like, okay.
まあ、使い方によると思う、その VR の。ね。なんかそれさっきの使い方だとさ、まあ、いい面が多分多いと思うけどさ。ね、バーチャル会議はちょっと、 バーチャル会議とか、なんて言うんだろう、その、日常に侵襲してくるようなね、体験はちょっと怖いね。うん。
Yeah. I do think currently the reason everybody's making fun of meta and all that stuff so much, other than the fact that for good reason nobody trusts Mark Zuckerberg nor Facebook nor Meta at all, but it's because, like I said, I think it's just too early. Still, with something like this, I still, like I said, I don't own a VR headset. I don't actually know. My friends don't own VR headsets. They're still expensive, or at least I have the
うん、
impression
そうな
they
の、
are.
10万とかしちゃう。10万円、10万円いくらかわかんないけど。
Yeah, probably. Yeah, probably. Or
$1,000?
yeah, around. Well, this one's 1,500. I know you can get them from cheaper now, I think, but like it still seems expensive to me. And I actually, like I said, I don't have any friends who I think who have VR headsets. So I think at the moment it's just
ゲームで使うでしょ。
yeah, you can. So I'm not sure if it's just like wealthier people or like upper middle class or I don't know. Like I said, I don't know anybody who owns a VR headset. And so I'm saying if you're trying to have a social media platform, you need people. And if it's kind of like phones where initially, like I remember when phones were introduced, oh, maybe you don't, but I remember when phones were introduced, and nobody had phones for the longest period of time. And the first time I saw a phone, or I mean like a touchscreen cell phone, I was like, whoa, this thing is cool. And I remember with the like iPhone and the iTouch, is that what they were called? I think they were called iTouches or something. They were basically like the phone version, but I mean, they were the exact same, but you couldn't call. Or iPod Touch? iPod Touch. iPod Touch. There we go. When I was able to plug in my like headphones into it and listen to music, my mind was blown. And I find that so funny thinking back to it now, how quickly humans adapt to new technology.
本当だよ。だって今の小学生なんかみんなかどうかわかんないけどさ、スマートフォン使っちゃってんだよ。ねえ、びっくりだよね。
From like a baby, or even lower than that. I know babies, they give iPads and stuff.
なんか電車とか乗ってるとさ、親がその赤ちゃんとかな、ちっちゃい子を黙らせるためになんか動画見せてねえっていうのはしてるのは結構もうよく見るから、どうなんだろうね、今の子供たちはどんな大人になるんだろうね。
My thought with that is like one, so this is like my hypotheticals and what I would do if I was a parent. Part of me is like, by the like society is getting more and more entrenched into technology from a very early age, and although I find it awful and there are a bunch of negative health effects to it, if you're the only person who's not entrenched in the tech age and everybody else around you is, it's probably going to be an extremely isolating experience. Although technology already seems to be weirdly isolating despite its ability to connect people from all around the world. And so maybe like for personally, like my first instinct is like, I would not want to expose a kid, or I'm saying my kid or whatever, to social media and having a smartphone or an iPad, like when they're young.
けどさ、もしだよ、
Yeah.
子供がさ、周りのみんな使ってるから欲しいとかだったり、例えば学校でみんな今ね、もうパソコンで授業とかあるんだよ。そのコロナとかもあったから、そう家でそのパソコンで授業見れるようにとか、小学生とかね。だからそういうので必要とかに絶対なってくるから、そういう時はどうするんだろうね。
Well, yeah, like I said, the other part of me is like, if you don't have these extremely tech skills, then you're probably not going to be, you might be disadvantaged. But how I see it is at the end of the day, everybody's jobs are going to be taken away by AI. So like as I'm saying, I don't have a positive, I'm all down for the ride, and I like being born in a transitionary period, but I'm not very excited for the 100 years later, what the state of the world looks like.
確かにね。なんか今っていうか、今の自分の世代ね、で生まれて正解だった気がする。なんか、一番いい時代じゃない？
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I mean, that is a bias to think that, by the way. But it is true that like in our lifespans, literally since like from the Industrial Revolution, I mean forward, every every generation and subsequent generation has had more like rapid change in how societies lived than the previous generation. And so like obviously for mine it's pretty like obvious. I went from literally nobody had cell phones, and then people had cell phones, and then suddenly they have touch smartphones, and now everybody has smartphones and children have smartphones, and now there's virtual reality, and so there's a huge jump. Because I still when I was a kid, we literally still had one of those like turn rotary phones or whatever that you spin around. But that was when I was younger, and then that went away, and then we took that all away, and then those got replaced by digital phones, and then we got rid of our house lines, and then everybody just has cell phones, and yeah, and obviously cable TV and all that stuff that used to exist as well. But
ブラウン管の TV とかね。それはあったわ。ちっちゃい時。
yeah, the CRTs. But yeah, I mean, I definitely feel like I shouldn't be an old man, but I feel like this the fear of the future is a very old man thing. But I honestly, at the current rate, I kind of just don't see. I'd almost be surprised if 150 years from now, or even maybe sooner than that, people are still like interacting with the physical world. You know what I'm saying? That's how fast it seems like technology is evolving.
確かに。自分たちがさ、おじいちゃんおばあちゃんになった時さ、そのテクノロジーについていけるかどうか心配なんだけど。
I mean, probably our brains will be uploaded in the cloud, and so we will be like teenagers even when we're 100 or something. But yeah, let us know. Are you guys having existential dread at the future? Are you or actually more recently, are you guys actually excited for Meta or equally pessimistic about its existence?
Let me know. Let us know. Yeah. Hello, we're back.
Hello.
So in this section, we're going to talk about life updates. So I can start.
どうぞ.
Yay. So I was studying at a river. Yeah, yesterday, and it was so calm and relaxing. Yeah, studying there. Yeah, and then people were doing barbecue.
Oh.
Yeah.
日本のバーベキューではどんな感じ？なんか何食べるの？
It's just sausages, some veggies, and what else? Yeah.
ハンバーガーない？
No, I guess. It depends. What? Yeah, that's not like usual.
ホットドッグは？
No, I guess.
それは罪だよ。アメリカでは。
What do Americans eat?
まあ、ホットドッグとハンバーガー。ソーセージもたまに食べるんだけど、一般的にそのソーセージじゃなくて、ホットドッグとハンバーガー一番、まあ、流行ってるとか。
Yeah, I was surprised because it's almost winter. It's fall, but yeah, this season I didn't expect people do barbecue. So yeah.
今天気はどんな感じ？
It was a sunny day yesterday. So and the temperature was good. Yeah, like.
寒くないの？
Not hot, not cold. So that was a perfect temperature.
アメリカではまあ私が住んでいるところに関してはだんだん寒くなってるので、今の時点でまあまだ雪降ってないけど、多分3週間後に降ると思う。
Wow.
一応そういう恐れがあるんだから。
So like do you have like snowy Halloween? Usually?
たまにそう。ほとんどの時はないかも。でもハロウィンのすぐ後に少しだけ雪が降って、でなんか1ヶ月くらい全然降らなくて、で多分12月の間にもう一度降り始めるという変な 気候があるんだけど。
Wow. Speaking of Halloween, I want to experience Shibuya Halloween, how do I say, walking. Do you know?
そうそう。
Yeah, スクランブル交差
渋谷の。
点で、yeah, people are just, yeah, wearing costumes and then just walk. Yeah.
まあ、日本に行けたら、それは動画にしたいんだけど。
Yeah.
考
Yeah,
えてみる。
yeah, in 2 weeks. Yeah.
あ、
Yeah, so.
できないかもね。
But yeah. And also the problem I have been having recently is that I can't focus like on studying at like one place. Is that right?
うん。
Yeah. Like you like working or like studying in your room whole day, right?
まあ、そうかもね。まあ実際だとそういう走らないと全然なんかエネルギーがなくなる。それでまあ少しだけ朝で部屋でまあ仕事をしてからなんか外で走って、まあ、してきて戻って仕事を進んで多分毎3時間ぐらい外に出なくちゃいけないじゃないと、ちょっとなんていうか、動かなくちゃいけない気がするから。
Yeah. Well, actually, yeah, it's a good thing to do because, like, I read a book and it said you have to at least stand up like every 15 minutes or so. So, like, the brain, like, can't focus. Yeah, if you sit, like, for a long time. So, yeah.
まあ15分ごとにやらないけど、多分30分。まあいつも水飲んでるんだから、ボトルはそんなにまあ小さくはないけど、どこどこに置いたか、ここ。見つけた、このぐらい何リットルかな、書いてないかな750ミリ。でも、すごく早く飲むので、多分1日3回ぐらい水取りになっちゃいけない。それで、なんていうか、結構歩いてるかもしれない。まあ、普通のアメリカ人と比べると。
Yeah, so that's my update. Yeah.
でも私に関してはいろんな、すごくいいニュースがあります。まず、実はどっち最初にしたいかちょっと迷ってるんだけど、まあ、ブリーチの話。ブリーチ知ってますか？アニメのブリーチ。
アニメ？ Yeah.
そう。
I know the name, but I haven't seen.
子供の時の多分、なぜ日本語を習ったかというと、ナルトとブリーチは一番影響を与えた。それで、2011年にブリーチの放送が終わって、で、今の時点で11年間が経って、ついにその放送が始める。もう一度。
始まった？
そう、始まった。最初のエピソード。それで、ツイッターで1位になった。その世界で。すごく、嬉しいんだけど、その前の。
Do people know Bleach?
知ってるよ。すごく有名。ナルト、ブリーチ、ワンピースは一番、なんか欧米では、インターネットの話では、The Big Three という名前が付けられたんだけど、今の時点で、ナルトは終わったし、ボルトがあるんだけど、それでワンピースもまだ続けてるんだけど、そのブリーチが、ブリーチの漫画終わったから、そういう The Big Three という概念が消えたんだけど、この、私漫画読んでないから、その子供からの、このアニメとの接触はまだ終わってない気がして、それでついにその最初のエピソード見たときに、すごく感動しちゃった。で、なんか普通のその時代のアニメにだと、毎週なんかエピソード1回。 で、それを多分3年、4年、5年、6年間ぐらい続けられていた。というのはなんか休みがなかった。で、休みの代わりにフィラーという、フィラーは漫画の元のエピソードじゃない。ただ、なんていうか、何でもいい話とかが作られたんだけど、このなんか今の時代のアニメだと、そういうフィラーの文化はちょっと消えたから、その長い長いアニメを作る代わりに、たくさんの努力して、すごく短いいいアニメを作るのが一番人気。なので、このブリーチのエピソードは、なんか制作度かながめっちゃ高い。それでなんか、ありえないぐらい。これはブリーチなの？
完成度かな。
完成度、そう、完成度。
へえ。
それで。多分あやみは全然アニメの話興味がないんだけど、これ私にとってめっちゃ大事なことだから言わなくちゃいけない気がした。
Yeah, but I know that Bleach was popular, like, is it 1990s anime?
いつ始まったかな？ 1999年か8年か2000年。よくわからない。でも、そう、めっちゃ20年以上進んできた。まあ、
続いてきた。
まあ、続いてきたっていうか、もう終わったんだから。でも、今のアニメだと。そう。
Oh, that's a big news to you? Yeah.
そう、ごめんね。アニメの話だから。でも、次の話、あやみは何もわからないと思うんだけど、私にとって大事だから言わなくちゃいけない気がした。それで、まあ、今、私たちのリスナーさんの中には、命令を、スマブラやる人がいないかもしれないけど、私、めっちゃなんか大ファンだから、ついにスマブラ DX、命令という、まあ、英語でメレー、スーパースマッシュブロスメレーでは、初めてのヨシが勝った、スーパーメジャー、一番大きいのトーナメント。で、日本人だった、アムサという人が。で、なぜこのゲームは大事かというと、20年以上の歴史がある。20年以上、ヨシが一度も勝ったことない。
Oh, the character he uses is Yoshi.
そう。
Or what's the character, what character usually wins?
フォックス、ファルコ、プリン、キャプトンファルコン。
I thought like Pudding was the weakest character.
スマブラ DX ではプリンはすごく強い。で、シーク、ピーチ、忘れた。マース。マースはファイアーエンブラムのキャラで、その名前知ってるの？知ってるかもしれない。いや、ファイアーエンブラム。ファイアーエンブラム。そう。でもとりあえず、まあ、これは全然、人に気に入らない話なんだけど、すごく嬉しかったから。
You like the character Yoshi or you like the person who plays Yoshi?
両方。すごく、なんか、どっちも。アムサはすごく、まあ、心が優しくて、動力系の人で、まあ、アムサが勝った時に、みんな、一人の人以外、みんなすごく楽しんでいた、勝ち。負けた人も。
who was the person who didn't?
マンゴーという人。
Okay.
マンゴーという、そう。全然関係ない話だけど、すごく競争的な人で、その人が秘密の嬉しくなかった人。でもそれ以外にみんながなんか一緒に終わった。で、おめでとう、アムサ。
Yeah, congrats, Amusa, right?
アムサ、AMSA。
Amusa and Yoshi.
そう。
They don't even know we talk about this in this podcast.
いや、そう、でも言いたかったから、多分、その命令かブリーチのファンがいたら、メッセージかコメントで、まあ、言ってくださいね。この話が無駄にならないように。
Okay.
And we're back with the final section. And if you've made it to the final section, send an email to lazyfluency@gmail.com with a comment, question, language related, and or otherwise. And or, while you're dropping a comment, might as well drop a review on Apple Podcasts. If you do, we'll give you a shout out at the top of the episode. We haven't had any podcast reviews recently. All the wasted potential at the top of the episode. So please do that. This week, we have kind of a follow-up from last episode, some clarifications I wanted to make, and then some comments I want to respond to. So last week, I had a sentiment saying that I got some basically was asked to recommend some beginner-friendly anime, to which I stated that you probably should avoid genres like science fiction and war. And so there are two comments that are expressing their general feelings about this. I'll just read them real quick. So one is from Shockox. I absolutely agree about the sci-fi thing because I'm still currently more fluent in Japanese jargon than I am Japanese. Very small comment, but I think you'll get the idea of what he's meaning by this with the next comment from Oddity. So I don't know if I classify as an anime fan per se because I'm really selective about it. The thing about learning Japanese with it though, is I thought, well, immersion is immersion. I'll just watch whatever I enjoy, mostly sci-fi, haha, and pick up some stuff by osmosis, just like with English. But no, because now my focus when watching is different. So I'm armed with my measly Genki 1 knowledge, and I set out to watch my favorite Kurosawa and Psycho-Pass, and it was yabai. It ended up being a discouraging experience, and I felt like I don't know anything and haven't made any progress. Not that I expected to understand a lot at Genki 1, but I expected, I don't know, something. So comprehensible input in Japanese is apparently very tricky, or maybe I just still suck. Hopefully not a permanent situation. So, if you have any thoughts about this idea of them wanting to enjoy a specific genre, but not being at the level to, I have some thoughts, but I've been talking a lot, so.
Do
you feel that way with like English sometimes, where you want to enjoy a certain type of content, but you can't understand it and it's frustrating?
そうね、結構だって、例えばさ、B ソースのね、やつだ、動画だって、結構、なんて言うんだろう、専門用語みたいなのが多くて、全然わかんないとかなったし、あと、The Big Bang Theory 知ってる？
Yeah.
そうそう、あれとかさ、あれじゃん、サイエンスオタクな人たちのさ、あれじゃん、ドラマじゃん。だから、結構何の話をしてんのかわかんないっていうのは、まあ、ね、ずっとあったから、難しいね。そうそうそう。まあでもそれ聞いてわかんなかったら調べるのは、まあいい学習方法なんじゃないでしょうか。はい。
I've always had I have like another comment I'm going to make later, but I've always kind of thought that what is in English, there are still plenty of things where like I'll look up a Wikipedia page talking about like, I don't know, thermodynamics or something, or some field that I have no clue about, whether it be like medicine and I won't actually know a lot of the words, but it doesn't actually, I don't care. I don't know how to describe it. You know what I'm talking about? You probably feel this way in Japanese too, where you're talking about how in Prince Mononoke, they do use some old dialects and terminology, but when you're watching it, you just don't care that you don't know them. And I'm wondering if that is because when you are a learner, you're so focused on trying to understand everything that you really notice when you don't understand something, or it's because when you're like a native speaker or you know language really well, you are just comfortable with getting the gist, or maybe it is you only care about the communication and not so much the learning. So if you've gotten the general gist of something, you don't feel frustration. Because I know in English, there's so many times where I just don't know a word and I just don't care to look it up. Like at all. I'm just like, no, I just don't care to look it up. I'm fine with not knowing this word.
そのさ、わからないパートがさ、まあ少なかったら、無視して、そのまま見続けられるけど、それがもしさ、まあ半分以上とかだったらさ、あれじゃん。もう、あんまり理解できなくなっちゃうから、パーセントにもよるよね。
Yeah, but do you look up words you don't understand in Japanese, or do you just ignore them and move on?
ジャパニーズだったらもうだってどうでもいいから。どうでもいいっていうか。
No, exactly. That's what I'm saying. That's what I find interesting. I feel the same way with English, where I do encounter words I don't know. I just ignore them and move on.
それはネイティブラングエッジで見てる、Your native language で見てるやつは、まあ、そのままスルーするけど、
No, I don't ever. I never look up a word in English. If I don't know it, I'm just like moving on. I don't care. I don't have the interest. I don't know why, but yeah. My thoughts though with I want to experience, as already states, there is a like with any language learning, it's a balance of how the more, basically, if you have interests, which most people do in their native language, that are way above children's level, when you learn a new language, you have two options. One is your comprehensible input is most likely very baby-like. So to get input at that level, you're going to listen to baby-like content, which is not inherently interesting. But if you're not interested, you don't want to learn. I mean, part of it is that's one of the reasons we made this podcast, is we're thinking, well, we can hopefully increase the level of Japanese or English you're able to listen to by offsetting it with English or Japanese for context. So you're still able to catch words or phrases even if you don't understand. So that's kind of one approach what this podcast is trying to do. But if you're into a whole genre that you can't watch, like sci-fi, my suggestion, or for one, I wouldn't force yourself to engage with something you're not interested in, even though I said like I would avoid it. If you really can't find other enjoying like content you enjoy in other genres of anime or other stuff like that, then instead of switching completely, maybe I would instead take like just a scene in the anime and go through that many times, as opposed to trying to watch everything. Like maybe do it with something you've already seen so that you don't feel like you're ruining the experience of watching it. But basically, if the material is too complex, you're going to have to shrink the amount of material you can cover. Because if you have no comprehension of what you're watching, you're not going to get any information from it. Like, doesn't matter how much. It's like, for example, like I saw anime like from 2004 or 2003, and I picked up absolutely nothing. I didn't know, like maybe in the back of my head subconsciously there were some words that I had some feeling with, but literally until even going to college, I didn't know any basic greeting or anything in Japanese, despite having watched way too much anime. So yeah, comprehensible input I do think is important. But yeah, it's all about strategically figuring out how you can get it. Do you have any thoughts on that? Like, do you have? I guess we're both in a better state now, obviously, so it's not as big of a problem now. But
まあそうね、だってね、さっきも言ったように流れを分かってないとね理解はできないから、まあこのポッドキャストもさ、分かんない部分は英語で、まあ英語がネイティブの人だったら分かんない部分、日本語で分かんない部分はまあ英語でそのジョイが言ってることで、まあ理解できるようにはなってると思うから、ね。どうなんだろうね。
Yeah. And our last comment before we end the show, this is from Innuendo84. This is about our bathroom episode, or toilet episode. I spent a couple of years in Japan and washlets were okay-ish. I didn't like the heated toilet seat since it gave me the impression that I'm sitting immediately after someone else. Also, I turned them off completely in my apartment to save energy. They are mottainai if you ask me. The heating part. Squat toilets should be banned. I hated them, but I'm surprised you didn't mention communal toilet slippers that are used in old ryokans. I loathed them. Absolutely disgusting, but perfect if you want to catch athlete's foot. I feel like we've read this before and I'm having deja vu. If that is the case, I apologize. If that's not the case, what are your thoughts on ryokan slippers?
コメントね、多分忘れ、ね、ごめんなさいね、し忘れてた気がする。から。
But what are your opinion on heated toilets and ryokan
heating toilet
slippers?
確かにちょっとそれ、なんていうの、その便座があったかいのがさ、ちょっとぬるいっていうか、なんだろう。誰かが座った後の椅子っていうか、まあ便座っぽかったらちょっと気持ち悪いけど、なんだろ まあ、さ、言ってくれたように、セーブエネルギーするためだったら、ね、絶対いいと、切った方がいいと思う。なんでかっていうと、まあ、ずっとつけっぱなしにしてるとさ、あれ結構電気食うらしいから、そうそうそう。ね、セーブエネルギーのためには。でも冬のめちゃめちゃ寒い時に、あれがついてると本当にね、心が安らぐんだよ。
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
知っての通り日本はね、日本の家は夏は暑くて、冬はめちゃめちゃ寒いのが、まあ一般的で、ござ
Yeah,
いま
in
すので
America,
ね。
I wouldn't
う
really
ん、
need a heated toilet, but I feel like in Japan,
そ
when
う。
the insulation is not as good and the walls aren't as thick,
そうそ
it's
う。
nice in the winter to have a toilet seat that you're not spending the first 10 seconds of being like,
そう。
ah.
そうなんだよ。冬はね、めっちゃね、いいんだよ、これ。そうそうそう。っていうの
But what
と、あ
what
と
about
なん
the
だろう。
slippers? Because I do
確かに言わ
find,
れてみれば。うん。
yeah, go ahead.
あ、どうぞ。
Oh no, I'm just saying that I find it gross. I wear
グローズ
socks
ね。う
with
ん。
those. I like it's maybe in America there's a big thing against. I don't know. It's weird to call it a movement, but I swear when I was a kid, it was all about if you're in a gym, athlete's foot, athlete foot. Don't go in a gym bare feet, but you'll get athlete's foot.
う
And because of
ん。
that, I've almost always been hyper paranoid about athlete's foot. And anytime in a shower, anytime anywhere where there's other feet going around,
う
I'm like,
ん。
can't have to avoid athlete's foot. And so that happened when I saw that. I mean, Japan was so popular to have like in every house I went to, or like just literally even for your home, like you have them too, not just old ryokan. So when I was staying at um, what's it called, host parents' place in Japan, I always was like, why do you need shoes just to? I don't even understand their purpose, honestly. Why do you need shoes exactly? What is the idea?
何
Why do you need to put on slippers to enter the bathroom?
汚いからじゃない？少なくとも
Is
さ、
it?
なんか、だってさ、まあ、用を足すときにさ、見えないミクロのさ、ね、ミクロの粒が飛んでる
Nope.
わけだからさ。
But you're just the shoe is gonna be like that instead. You know what I'm saying? You're putting your foot directly on something that is grosser than the ground, because the ground are normally like linoleum or something, or tile, something that's easily cleanable and washable. And most like Japanese bathrooms are completely watertight, so you're able to
だ
easily
から、
clean the floor.
そのみんながさ、用を足した後に見えないのが落ちてる。まあ、床にさ、かかってるかもしれないじゃん。とかさ、あと、まあ、普通のパブリックっていうか、まあ、レストランとかのトイレでさ、ね、誰が使ってるかわかんないしさ、床が汚いから、スリッパ履くんだよ。
How do we solve this problem? Maybe you bring your own slippers? Is that the
まあ、
the
そも
thing?
そもさ、レストランで、You guys don't take your shoes off だ。
No,
靴脱がないか。
no.
だからだよ。だから靴の代わ
Oh,
り
you
を
know, actually, hold
ス
up.
リ
I remember the thing. So here's the real solution, because this is what I do in America, because I take my shoes off. You just wear socks. And here's the thing, I'm going to say it. Okay, you keep your bathrooms clean, but if if there's a little bit of pee on the ground and you step on it with your socks, you just take that L and wash your socks. You know what I'm saying? So
でもさ、そのさ、違うよ。だからさ、トイレ入った後にさ、まあついてるじゃん、そのソックスの裏に。で
yeah,
さ、
that's what you have
で
to
もさ、
you have
そ
to
の後
wash that.
その後帰るときに靴履くじゃん。そしたら靴がまた汚れんじゃん。
No, not when you're inside your
靴の中。
house.
違う、だからお店とかで、お店のトイレでさ、スリッパ履くじゃん。で、履
Oh,
かな
but
か
you're
った
wearing
場
you're
合に
wearing shoes. You're wearing shoes there. Are you talking about Japan?
そうそうそうそう。
Okay. Well, I mean, I think we're going actually pretty long right now. So I'm not sure what our conclusion about that. But yeah, thanks for the comments, everybody. Leave an Apple review and a comment, please. That bell means we reached the end of today's episode. Thanks for joining us in another lazy conversation towards fluency. If you have any language-related questions and or just looking for some general advice, send an email to lazyfluency@gmail.com, and we might respond in the next episode. Also, make sure to check out our podcast on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, and more. We'd appreciate the support. This has been Joey.
Nayami.
Signing off. じゃあねー。
じゃあねー。